Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. I, Aspiring Spike, am playing Path to Exile today. I think that I'm sure I've played it before, but like I don't think I've played it since MH2. Let's check when the last time I registered Path to Exile was. I do think it's very rare that you ever want to play this card. I have not cast it since 2023, where I played I think some of the sideboard and Jeskai Phoenix. Remember, so I could Path to Exile. Murktide Regions. Yeah, so 2023 was the last time I played Path to Exile. Um, I do think that this is a particularly good candidate for the card. Who knows? Maybe maybe I'll do like a. I'm also picking up the backup deck here. Maybe I'll end up doing a complete 180 and maybe I'll do a complete 180 and really enjoy the card. But I think it makes a lot of sense here. So this is a mostly mono white control shell built around Phenomena Recorder. I do think there's a lot of different directions you can go with this deck. I think you could be mono blue and you can get access to Enigma Jewel. You can be mono white or, completely mono white, mono black, splash black for Ketramose because we really need some card advantage. You can be blue white also, and I think blue white is pretty interesting. I think a blue white build of this deck would be playing a lot of fetch lands and copying the fetch lands with Phenomena Recorder. So I do still really want to play that, but I wanted to start here. So the idea is this is a control deck that's built around Phenomena Recorder to basically double up your interaction. Instead of double upping your proactive cards, you're kind of doubling up your interactive cards. So you're going to double up your Solitude Exiles, your Portable Hold Exiles, your Field of Ruin activated abilities, and still also, of course, your Urza Saga triggered abilities, your Urza Saga activated abilities. And I think one thing that's really cool about the recorder, so like just having this shell of like recorder plus portable hole plus Isochron Scepter, it makes your Urza Saga beatdown plan significantly better compared to how we've kind of played this deck in the past. We have played these kind of like Field of Ruin focus control builds using Ketramose as your main source of card advantage, which draws a lot of cards in this archetype. Now, I do think that the metagame is like it's so combo heavy that if you're gonna play this kind of build, like the reason to play this kind of build is to be really good against the combo decks while still having some equity against aggro. And I think this is a deck that's fitting that requirement where being an 8 field deck against the Belcher metagame is very nice, especially with 4 Sunken Citadels. You can activate this on turn 2 really often. You get to play 4 Reprieve, which is great against Belcher, solid against some other decks like Titan, and then you can eventually set up for Isochron Scepter plus Orim's Chant. And then your Isochron Scepters are also a little bit more versatile than you would usually be here too, where you can copy Reprieves, your Chants, and then also your Path to Exiles for recursive removal. And then you can also sometimes camera your Isochron Scepter on Path to Exile. Occasionally, it could be okay to copy Reprieve, like if you're looking to like play around like counter magic on Reprieve, or if you want to like get really tricky and like in response to a spell, you cast your own spell, reprieve your own spell, draw an extra card. Very, very niche stuff, but technically possible. You could also just kind of use the camera / phenomena recorder as a card draw spell, just like cycling your relic and drawing an extra card, doing that 3 times hasn't been so bad. Sideboard's not the craziest. I do want to talk about a few different cards. So obviously we've got some Urza Saga tutor targets. Shadowspear, I think, just a card that right now makes sense to be in the sideboard for the aggro matchups. Pithing Needle, obviously, and Cage for Reanimator Neoform, Belcher Broodscale. Disenchant is my artifact enchantment hate of choice because it gets imprinted to Scepter. This is also not a deck that's very good at using Wrath of Skies because a lot of our stuff does die to Wrath of Skies. And then the Phantoms and the Voice of Victories may look a little weird in this deck, but they kind of do a dual purpose where one problem with this archetype is that you are playing a lot of removal spells. You're playing 10 main deck removal spells. And so it's really important that you can cut these and against decks where the removal is kind of dead. And sometimes like the Solitudes are still kind of live or the Portable Holes are still kind of live. But you really just need to have a lot of versatile sideboard cards. And so the Phantoms can come in any matchup in addition to being good against Tron and Belcher and Titan. And the Voice of Victories can come in any matchup in addition to being good against Control and Belcher. And those are kind of the main matchups you want them for. So I think that those are pretty important. We also have a couple Wrath of Gods for aggro to go a little bit more in on the removal plan, especially when you want to kind of cut the reprieves in those matchups. So let's get in there. Wait, you can camera the imprintability? Okay, hold on. So if you You forgot to add Anti-Venom. So I've said this about Anti-Venom. Every single land in your deck must tap for white for you to play Anti-Venom. No Field of Ruins. No Urza Sagas. I do like kind of want to put that card in the deck, but it's also like a really, really, really bad metagame. Okay, you may cast copy the exiled card. You get to so you get to cast everything that's imprinted to the scepter. So you can cast Path and Reprieve. It's okay. It's gonna be a little hard to like make that work, but we'll keep an eye out. That would be awesome. Yeah, it seems, especially with only 2 Path Exiles in the deck. Honestly, that's kind of a reason to play more to my fury and rage. That's kind of a reason to play more Path Exiles in the deck. They kept their 7. Let me show you the 7 that we're keeping on the draw. Kind of slow, but we'll keep the draw against Boros. The PT control decks, we're only playing 1 scepter. Do you feel it's important to have more than that? In this mono white deck that doesn't have access to other forms of counter magic, I do think so. Whew, they hit my Relic, my Saga, and my camera. That's pretty good. They milled the Vengevine. They cast a hollow one. They also discarded a hollow one. Do they have another one? Okay, they don't quite have another one. My action. They just discarded all of my action. I guess we're gonna Path Exile this turn. Did you pick one of the worst planes on purpose? I just randomly added. I'm too poor. I need a 5-pack of subs to get better lands here. Okay, maybe a little punished. I guess we don't need to do anything now. This went from slow to glacial. Well, slow to no action at all, maybe. The Relic would have been pretty nice. Also, can you imagine if you were Lee and Tucker in chat? You were so excited to see your planes, and then you see in the chat, did you pick the worst planes on purpose? Put yourself in Leon Tucker's shoes for a second. All right, let's play the camera and the Citadel this turn. I don't want to just totally screw myself if I drew the Isochron Scepter. Did anyone register burn in the PT? Of course not. Of course not. I'm so sorry. You keep making me bear all the bad news. They find a root wall and they also mill a Phoenix here. Do they have another creature for the Vengevine? Yeah, when Burning Inquiry is triple Thoughtseize, cast a hollow one. Are we really playing Path to Exile 2025? I know! I am so anti-Path to Exile. I am so critical of it whenever anybody suggests it. I am like perhaps the most anti-Path to Exile streamer in the world. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying that. But we are an Isochron Scepter, Ketramose, 8-field deck. I think this is a pretty good Path to Exile deck. You know, it makes me sick to say that. Belcher is popular, you know? It's like... makes me sick. But I think it is pretty good at the moment. Okay, so I guess we're going to copy the Solitude ETB here. Maybe they'll cast another Burning Inquiry. How does Burn become tier 1 again? A big part of Burn becoming a playable deck. And I'll say this. Burn has not been a tier 1 modern deck for... like since before Modern Horizons 1, since like I think a good bit before Modern Horizons 1 even, so we're far away. We're very far away. Yeah, I think I need to copy the Exile the Root Wall, even though it leaves them with the extra creature in play. Just need I'm at my life total is a little too low. We're very far away from this. Please cast a Burning Inquiry. So one big thing was maybe perhaps the biggest problem for Burn is that Boros Energy is a deck that has a very painless mana base, has a ton of main deck life gain, and has a ton of removal. Like it's almost like you couldn't dream up a worse like imaginary matchup than Boros Energy. All right, I guess we get to survive for a turn. Maybe we could top deck like a Solitude. Could the blue-white version play Enigma Jewel? Maybe. The thing is, if you play blue-white and you play Jewel, and if you just have Camera and Field of Ruins, like maybe you could play one, but it feels like you might be a little light on things to use on the Jewel. Oh, we did draw the Solitude. Can't copy the ETB with the camera. We get to exile a Phoenix, block a Root Walla, go to 7. This deck would do numbers with a draw engine. We have 4 Ketramoses. So yeah, I know that like the One Ring was really although we don't have a Ketramose castable here because I named white off the Citadel, which I think was just a mistake. But I agree. I think like not having access to something like the One Ring or the One Ring, kind of the biggest problem for this deck. But Ketramose I think is as close as it gets, and I think is a good fit, despite being kind of hard to cast. We're at 7. They've got 3 cards in their hand. We've got just a basic Plains. They've got a Root Walla, which can put me down to 2 life next turn, and then a Shark, which can put me down to 1 life. Big draw step for me. Okay, well, that gives us some outs. Maybe the more complex MTG becomes, the harder it gets for Burn to make a comeback. I mean, maybe, but it's... I think it's mostly that like the best aggro deck in the format passively gains like 20 life. That's a big problem too. I mean, another thing is like for Burn, which is so funny, like Titan, like the big mana deck Titan has always been like the aggro deck Burn's hardest matchup, and like I think archetypally or like when we're talking about format health, when I guess I don't copy the Relic sack, so I can still draw Chant and kick the Scepter. Are like just on a bigger scale, when the aggro deck is really bad against the big mana deck, it's not a good thing for that aggro deck in the format, if that makes sense. Like part of aggro deck's role in metagames is to be good against big mana, and when that just isn't the case in the format, it's much worse for your aggro deck. Okay, so let's bring in the Wrath of Gods. Let's bring in the Shadowspear. I think I also want to bring in the Cage and just cut all the Reprieves. Looks pretty good to me. Yeah, apparently if you copy... I didn't even know this when building the deck, but if you copy the imprint trigger on Scepter, you get both of the cards here. So that might be more relevant in like the blue-white version of the deck, which... So I do think if you have Field of Ruins, cameras, and some Scepters, like the first Jewel's got to be good in blue-white, maybe 2. Probably not too many more than that, unless you were playing Force of Negation. Could Swords become modern legal, or no chance that'd ever happen? I think no chance. I don't know. It's certainly something that gets suggested a lot, and it's not really something that usually makes that much sense to me. All right, I think we're gonna name white on the Citadel. Maybe get our Swamp off the Field of Ruin. Although I would kind of be, I'm kind of interested in playing the Saga next turn. Is Amulet really big mana? It certainly makes a lot of mana, but it doesn't really fill the role most of the big mana decks do. Could you elaborate on how it doesn't? Because it sure does just cast a bunch of 6-drops, and it's like one thing that big mana can do, and like just kind of on a, maybe no pun intended, a bigger level. I guess maybe I just want to be setting up for the Wrath. So I go like field them, cast the Shadowspear this turn, then go... Oh, I can't go Saga and Ketramose next turn because I drew the Swamp. Maybe I go Swamp Ketramose into Wrath. We'll see. Maybe I just don't play the Ketramose next turn. So it's like one thing that big mana does is they just cast spells that go over the top of like the mid-range decks and the aggro decks that the format isn't really prepared to do. Like Modern is not a format that's really prepared to like cheaply interact or like efficiently interact with a Primeval Titan. Like that's not okay. I think that's good that we got them to use the Pick Your Poison on that. So we get to keep the Wrath in our hand, which is nice. We don't have the 4th land anymore. But yeah, Titan has always been a hybrid big mana combo deck. Would you consider Ruby Storm big mana? They make a bunch of mana off rituals? No, of course not. Like again, maybe I don't know if I did a poor job articulating myself. What makes big mana, because we need name black here, is the ability to cast a bunch of high mana value spells that your opponents aren't equipped to deal with because the rest of the format goes so low to the ground. That is my definition, I suppose. So do I pop the Relic to play around Detective's Phoenix, or do I keep it up to play around Vengevine. I think I don't care as much about Vengevine, so I think I'm just going to pop the Relic. Newbie here. Oh, sorry, I don't want to pop the Relic because I need the 4th mana for Wrath. I see most streamers creators playing on Moto instead of MTGA. Did I make a mistake starting to play Arena? I mean, not necessarily. I play Magic Online because my favorite format is Modern, and this is the only way to play Modern digitally, at least in an official release and like real tournaments and stuff. On Arena, there's no Modern. I also like the economy on Magic Online more. I like the tournament structure more, where you get to just like... I like leagues and the structured tournaments more on Magic Online. I like that you could rent any deck instead of having to like buy it. Although that's through third-party services. All right, so this is 9 damage, putting me down to 7. Pretty tempting to play Ketramose before the Wrath. Let's see what they do here. Draw Orim's Chant. Okay, I think with this top deck, we cast Ketramose, we Chant, we take 5 down to 2. We attack, we go up to 6. Then we Wrath. And then they have a Phoenix still. And then we go down to 4. Disciple to 15 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Sure thing. K-Opf. No, they have a lightning bolt. I guess I also didn't even have the Ketramose online. Oh, they had Alright, let's keep this. Can we play against Belcher maybe? They ran out of consigns yesterday. I mean, yeah, they run out of cards for sure. Yeah, maybe you could sideboard a Silence. I think that could work. This is also like the worst format you could like kind of imagine. I think to play Anti-Venom in. It's like so combo heavy. Yeah, I know. I hate Path to Exile. It gets suggested a lot. I'm always saying don't play Path to Exile. However, we're playing it today. I guess we're gonna play the Recorder this turn. Maybe next turn we could copy the Portable Hole ETB with camera, and then the turn after copy the Field of Ruin. This is a Isochron Scepter Ketramose 8-field deck. So weirdly, I think a couple paths is correct. I consider Dam over Wrath. I didn't think about it. I did get my Dam spell snared one time. Again, double black is like kind of an imaginary thing in the stack. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Mox Opal makes that not the case, but you're not going to get to double black very often. Okay. I do think I want to copy the Portable Hole trigger. So let's just like plan to cycle the Bauble end of turn probably. Again, I have been so anti-Path to Exile, but this is just I think weirdly the deck for it, you know. Halia. Can't Portable Hole Halia. Could maybe save the Vexing Bauble to just copy the draw on. Oh, I forgot that they do get to draw a card because they gained a life off the Pride, huh? Alright, let's just play this on... We might as well on black here. And then I think I'm gonna go Portable Hole copy the Portable Hole trigger. Just get the cat token off the field. Maybe Halia pops off a little bit. Baya with the 40 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Would swords be too OP for Modern because we got Path? Swords would never come to Modern. That's not why. It's not Path to Exile. Path to Exile sees basically no play. It's like Solitude and Leyline Binding and Prismatic Ending are premier balanced for Modern removal spells. I've also seen a lot of comments in the chat today asking about Fire Blast and Price of Progress coming to Static Prison. Interesting. Fire Blast and Static Prison. Oh, dude, the voice is shutting down my Orim's Chant so well here. Coming to Modern to make Burn good. And this is one problem with like talking about how like things could improve in Modern is because players are so locked in on legacy reprints coming to Modern to improve their pet deck. But like in my opinion, the reality is that you like just kind of certainly would rather have new, good, interesting cards come to a format than unbalanced classic legacy cards. Like it just doesn't to me almost ever make sense for like the solution. The solution to our problems is this legacy card that isn't like super well designed or balanced. It's like it is the answer is just almost always let's print a new card that is balanced for this format. Yeah, just make a new card. And I know that new cards they don't exist yet, so you can't really visualize them. So you just think of legacy cards. But um, this is for me my philosophy. Another month I long for Just Guy Lotus Field. Maybe one day. I do think I might play Lotus Field and I might play Lotus Field and Fairy and Camera all in the same deck. Not that you want to double the camera triggers. Like, yeah, Swords of Plowshares is the best removal spell of all time. It would immediately be the best removal spell in the format. It would warp the format in a really significant way. It would be a really negative inclusion, and it's also not an inclusion that like Wizards of the Coast would make, you know? Price is something of accountability system for ultra greedy mana bases at least. I mean, like a little bit. It's the card is also unbalanced and like really unfun, you know? I've played a lot of Legacy. I know a lot about the card, and I don't think it's a card that makes games better usually. Okay, so I guess I really can't copy my Solitude ETB. Wait, can I? No, because they're just gonna get to Flash me, right? So I just kind of have to Solitude the Voice of Victory and then kick the Chant. Not every deck can run Solitude? Sure. Oh, sorry, I see. I misread the comment. The Ceiling of Solitude is the better source. Yes, Swords of Plowshares is better than Solitude, and you know it. That's why you're asking for Swords of Plowshares, you know. And you know it. Wait, only one Surveillance? Oh, the other one's in the yard already. This ticks down. We're definitely in a lot of trouble still. Could draw another Solitude, could draw a Ketramose. We do get the portable hole. We can copy that trigger next turn. Did you record the static prison trigger and force them to pay 2 energy? That's a nice thought. Unfortunately, the static prison or the camera only copies things you control. But we get to. I'm holding control. Okay, thank you. Thank you, camera. We deck out the cats. They're gonna flage my Solitude. I'm gonna go down to 2. But if we top deck, okay, they have Arena of Glory. Okay, they've got Arena of Glory. Alright, so we're going to bring in the Wraths, we're going to cut the Reprieves, we're going to bring in the Shadowspear. We should be pretty good against Flage with all of the Graveyard Hate. I think I also like to bring in the Needle for Bombardment and a Johnny. Pretty good to me. Right? Looks good enough to me. You bring in a Phantom or 2 for Arena. We've got 8 Field of Ruins in the main deck, so... I mean, the card's just kind of bad against them too, is another problem. Am I really going to Path to Exile a Ragavan? Seems like I might. This is the problem with playing the card, of course. You got to do what you got to do. I think it's more of a nuanced discussion of Swords is strictly better. It's not, because like this. I don't know. Swords of Plowshares is overall better than Solitude. It's less restrictive. It is the best removal spell of all time. It's better on turn 1. It has other synergies besides the evoke stuff. it's like it's I don't know. It is just overall better. I think we all know this. I don't think it's an interesting conversation to have, if I'm going to be quite honest. It's a conversation we've had a lot over the years. I know I'm kind of entertaining it too much, but it's just so Swords of Plowshares will never come to modern. It's also just kind of silly, I think. Until I'll be with the 22 months, thank you, welcome back. Appreciate you. So looking to find a white card and go camera, copy my Solitude ETB. And then I would have 5 cards in exile plus a relic tap to 6. It isn't really a discussion. I realize the chat here is modern pill. Solitude is only played in a few legacy decks, and decks playing 4 Solitude also play 4 swords. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. So I guess we cycle the relic. We draw cards here since there is nothing in exile first. You find the white card. So 4 cards in exile, 5, 6, and then 7 off the relic tap, exiling the Solitude, which I can maybe do at instant speed. Yeah, let's actually just plan to do all of this at instant speed. I think about never will, but definitely never should. I mean, it just doesn't seem like the thing Wizards of the Coast would do, but I don't know. They do a lot of weird stuff. I guess that's fair. A lot of Guide of Souls. I don't think I'm supposed to Solitude in response. I wonder if they can sniff this out. I wonder if it's too telegraphed. Guess it was. My plan now is to exile the Pride, exile the Ajani, and then block one of the ground creatures. We do have Wrath of God, yeah, or Wrath of God. We also have Orim's Chant, plus a lot of draws, or some draws to find it. Alright. Vogue Solitude. So I guess should I have targeted the cat first? I guess it doesn't matter because I have to copy before the first one resolves, otherwise it's obviously off the stack, and then I can't. You think Assassin's Trophy gets better in Ghost Quarter Ice decks because it heavily taxes the basics? Yeah, we were talking about playing that. I mean, it's also like a Goblin Charbelcher format, so there's that angle as well. Oh, sorry, I guess I wasn't counting the portable hole going to exile. I was counting here. So we gain 4, we take 10. We basically take 6 down to 9. Okay, they're going to Galvanic Discharge to make me more than that. I'm down to 5. Guess we are looking at Scepter or Orim's Wrath or Orim's Chant or Bust. Get a few more draws at it here. There's the Orim's Chant and the Wrath. Seems like I should Scepter first. Oh, sorry. We drew the other chant. I need 1 more mana to kick the chant. I know that. We'll just cast the other chant from our hand here. You missed a draw at the end of my turn. I did not miss a draw. I intentionally did not lose more life. You may have noticed my life total got very low there. It was on purpose. On purpose, not losing life. Okay, so we can play the Mox Opal to kick the Scepter on their turn. But yeah, I got all the way down to 2. It could have been worse for us too. Going to game 3. Yeah, I think mono blue also exists in this kind of vein. It's really hard to play Scepter in that build. I'm also pretty interested in like blue white, and you can play a couple Enigma Jewels, but like I think in that build a lot of times you're like copying fetch lands, copying Teferi minuses. Boros can't break the lock. I mean it's possible for them to play a weird card, but with the stuff that they usually play, that's correct. I guess if they just need Wear Tear, which I guess isn't that abnormal for them to play. All right, let's lead on the camera. The Voice of Victory does stop my Scepter plan. I think let's just go Citadel on white and then Needle Goblin Bombardment. And then next turn maybe we get to exile two things with the camera plus Solitude. Ideally, if that happens, we would draw a new white card so we could keep the Chant for the Scepter. I'm down to 7. They play a Johnny. They have Discharge, they should discharge now, so I think we can probably rule it out that they have one. We play the Saga here. And we are not lucky enough. But next turn we could make 2 Saga tokens, or we could Field of Ruin and get 2 lands out of our deck. Making 2 Saga tokens on this board does seem pretty good. Could be a little worried about Wrath Disguise. Maybe that was a good reason to not play the second camera. They Wear Tear, killing the Needle and the Saga. Interesting. All right, so I do want to copy the Field of Ruin, so let's just go ahead and pass. So their hand should be Goblin Bombardment. I mean, maybe they would just still kill the Needle anyways, and then 3 other cards. Do you have any Sandman Brews cooked up for the next little while? I had a Nissa Sandman deck it was just kind of updated Nautilus Nadu, and I didn't think that was a terrible shell, but doesn't feel like a good metagame to be Nissa Risen Reefing. We only have 3 cards in exile right now if we draw Ketramose. Pretty good remaining hand here. They have Kitty's Blessing too? Disgusting. I guess we're just dead if we don't draw Wrath or Chant. Or okay, Portable Hole works. So I'm a little bit short of going Field of Ruin, copy, then copy. I'm 1 mana short of Field of Ruin, copying the Field of Ruin, and then copying the Portable Hole ETBs. So we just have to copy the Portable Hole ETB. Wish I could copy it twice and get 1, 2, 3. The Pride is definitely going. I think it's the Pride in the guide. Maybe it's the Bombardment though. So if I exile this, I'm taking 4 down to 8, and then they basically have 3 more damage available. If I get rid of this, then I'm taking 5, 6, 7 down to 5. Yeah, then I'm just dead the following turn for sure, when if they just do 2 bricks, I'm not for sure dead. Guide his jumping abilities? Yeah. It sure does. Oh no, so we're exactly dead next turn. How long until you use camera? Yeah, I thought about playing Guide Pride in this shell, then also like being able to copy Felia and copy Starfield Shepherd. There's a lot you could do. But it's a little mana intensive with like such a weird low curve. Okay, exactly dead. Right, we'll do at least 1 more league with this. Wouldn't you just copy whatever camera's targeting? Yeah, that's what you would actually do. But just to answer the question, like, is there a reason to do that? I don't think that there is. Combos with Magecraft. Well, Magecraft only triggers on instants and sorceries being copied, not activated abilities. So like it is technically an infinite combo, but as far as as far as I know, there's nothing that infinitely combos with it. My opponent's played a Karn's Bastion. Why do I feel like I know what that means and I can't? Is this a Magosi combo? That's the only time I've ever played Karn's Bastion, at least. Okay, so they're representing Rebuke. Never mind. I would not have played the Scepter if they had not cracked Bauble on my upkeep. Yeah, it could be a Dice Factory build, that's true. Yeah, it's honestly kind of a cool techie landed scales. Okay, there's a Pithing Needle, but we have Portable Hole. That was a wild few days on Magosi. I know, it was so fun. They don't have Blue for Rebuke. They have Mox Opal. Oh, so this for some reason I was thinking this was Darksteel Citadel. But no. I obviously even pointed it out. I don't know why I thought this was online. You're right, you're right. Okay, then the explosives on one. That's two ways for them to disrupt the Scepter here. And they have Blast Zone. Although we have Field for Blast Zone. Oh wait, the explosive's on one. Why is it on one? Oh, for Portable Hole. Well, I think we gotta force this action. And they'll Pithing Needle after they sack the explosives this turn. Camera copy FOMO, how's it sound? Really mana intensive. Or not enough payoff, probably. Right, obviously that's a nice draw. So I'm planning to field the Blast Zone and sack the Bauble. I guess I should have fielded first and cycled main phase so I could hit my land. I think we can get our swamp off this field. Very odd game. It's so odd that I went turn 2 Scepter for Chant and my opponent just had 3 answers for it. The explosive, the needle, and the blast zone immediately. Game 1. There's a Surge node, so they can start charging up the Astral Cornucopia. Why is it called Dice Factory? Because in paper you're like just constantly ticking your dice up and up and up. Bound Splash with the 35 months. Thank you so much. A basic forest has been another surprise. A game full of surprises here. Urza Saga could be a little bit of a problem over there. They're charging up their cornucopia. Maybe I should have deployed the second scepters. If they have the Seiju, we still have the lock. Are there any instant speed decks besides Merfolk that would be good against this deck? Merfolk's an instant speed deck? I know we're playing Path. We're an Isochron Scepter Field of Ruin deck. How do you come about displaying the second Scepter into a bunch of main deck EE Blast Zone? Well, I mean, they can't cast EE. They could maybe have a second Blast Zone. I explained my reason of playing around Beseiju, and I feel like that seems pretty reasonable. It's weird that they stopped charging up the Cornucopia. Oh, they proliferated my Urza Saga. Well, I mean, that's just that kind of actively good for me. I can get my Relic for the Ketramose. Okay, but then they top deck Ghost Quarter. What? How do they have room for Blast Zone, Ghost? I guess it's because they're just not playing Tron lands and like K Command. I feel like I never have room for all the cool lands. I always play the lame lands. Guess I get to play a camera here. Ahead on clock, by the way. 2 minutes ahead on clock. I've stopped my opponent from casting almost any spells this game. All right. Up a game. Let's bring in Pithing Needle. Let's bring in the Disenchants, which we can copy to our Scepters. We're probably going to be bringing in the White Orchid Phantoms, but they are weirder here than against most normal builds that are playing Tron. They at least are going to have Urza Saga. They probably only have 2 basics too. Let's cut the Solitudes. Let's cut the Path to Exiles. We want to leave in the Vexing Bauble. Maybe play one less Phantom. Seems okay. Should be a really good matchup with all of our portable holes. Okay, this is an odd hand. I think I just have to mulligan because these Scepters do nothing, and obviously it's also a one-lander that can't triple spell turn 1. Okay, we can keep this one. Probably put back the Relic. Is Disenchant Modern playable? We're playing it in this deck because it's the only imprintable to Isochron Scepter, and we're not a good Wrath Disguise deck. So that's about the only time I ever end up reaching for. That's about the only time I ever end up reaching for Disenchant, but it has come up before. No mana battery? Yeah, but there is no other imprintable to Scepter that you can play. Is there a particular reason for Voice of Victory over Grand Abolisher? Much easier to cast with all of our colorless lands. It attacks for 3 instead of attacking for 2. Okay, we're on the draw against Takahira. Against Takahira, we'll keep this. Let's go. Best top deck. Yeah, I never seem to queue into Belcher when I'm playing the mono Field of Ruin deck. Nature's Chance. Destroy. I guess technically the exact same card in this deck. I think if we played Nature's Chant, we get even more questions, for whatever that's worth. Right, I think we need to slam the Scepter here. We do need to sack the Vexing Bauble if our lock is actually obtainable here. Okay, Narset, not Teferi. So they reveal Prismatic Ending. I think I need to wait on that Saga till I've got more mana in play. Oh, sorry, wrong artifact. How do they get out of this? Otawara? Sync? I guess just counterspell the Orim's Chant and then Prismatic Ending. That's the actual answer. I know what you're gonna answer. It's kind of ironical to see you play Path. I know it absolutely is. Incredibly ironical. You could have cracked Bauble on their turn to draw. Yeah. Oopsie. But I do think it makes a lot of sense in this specific build. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get to copy the imprint, but it is cool that that apparently works. Do you think it's important to get the mana for Ketramose here? We'll see if they found the counter spell to counter the Chant and then Prismatic Ending. We just do have another Scepter Chant. If you kick the Chant, you have paid mana. With Vexing and still counter it. Oh, I guess that doesn't work. Oh, they have Gyre Reach. I'm like so cooked against Gyre Reach here. I guess what we probably should do is cast Chant from hand so we can attack the Narset. Doesn't really feel like a winning line. It loses to so much, but oh, they don't activate it? They just didn't activate Gyre Reach. It was free. Oh, I guess I also have the Demolition Field. That's true. Sorry. Despairing too much. Okay, and then they hard cast Force of Negation on the cast Orim's Chant. Both players playing great. Oh my gosh, I meant to activate the Scepter. I don't know what's wrong with me. I totally meant to activate the Scepter here. I don't know what happens. What's wrong with my brain that every time I make one mistake, I just can't help but make like 3 more. If any psychologists in the chat, I need help. They just ending the token. I think there's like no chance they ending the token instead of the Scepter. I mean, especially if they have the okay, do I get the Opal because I already have Relic in my hand? Yeah, that lets me, in theory, sacrifice the Relic this turn. You copy Scepter ETB to cast 2 spells. You can, yeah. You can also copy the activated ability to cast 2 spells. Right, despite our awful play, they just don't have the Solitude, it seems. Or if they do have the Solitude, they're also punting because like I wouldn't have drawn a card because they had Narset in play. Just a lot, just both players playing so bad. Okay, let's pass back. I'll probably path my own construct if they like Prismatic Ending it. Scepter on Reprieve is also kind of nice. I can't all around. I know, like, maybe they have the same problem I do. Well, Teferi is really annoying. Do I path my own construct here? I do really need the extra mana. They're just gonna bounce the construct if I don't. I think it's okay. They don't have a Gigantha, or sorry, Flage in their deck, so there shouldn't really be much reason to be tapping the Relic super aggressively, right? Okay, let's go to game 2. I play Relic before Ketramose is usually better. Well, I thought that if they had Solitude, they'd be Solituding the token always, and I thought if they had Solitude, I would want them to Solitude the Ketramose instead of the token because I need to kill the Narset. So that was why I just played the Ketramose after the Relic, and it did work out, but just a very odd game overall. I think I do want the Needle. I don't always play the Needle against them. -1, I guess down to 2 Solitudes. I don't think I'm going to play Disenchant for their Scepters. Usually play like 1 Scepter, maybe 2. You make your first mistake, this affects your thought process and your focus. You spend more effort thinking about the mistake, it just leads to more mistakes. I guess so. Is 1 portable hole for Saga to deal with Scepter worth considering? You can't get portable hole off Saga because it has a colored casting cost. We have no white mana. We are up against Control. It's a matchup where you don't really want to mulligan, and our Urza Saga should be pretty good, so I think I'm going to keep. We can get maybe Mox Opal off of the Urza Saga if we don't just end up fielding for white mana. I found a loop to get infinite copies of any ability with 2 cameras and Karn. You're -2 Karn for Illusionist Bracers. Next turn, Karn +1 on camera, equip Bracers, then go infinite with 2 cameras. Okay, let me reread Illusionist Bracers. Okay, whenever an ability of equipped creature is activated, if it isn't a mana ability, copy it. You may choose new to copies. Okay. Seems like at least something worth playing in Dice Factory, just kind of free to play like an Illusionist Bracers in the board. It's also kind of cool that, I guess you've already activated the card that turn. Well, that'll probably make the stream at some point. Felix with the 32 months, thank you, welcome back. Drew a Pithing Needle. If I get a camera, I think I'm playing maybe a little bit too much into Wrath of Skies. I think I'm kind of interested in getting a little aggro and like casting Pithing Needle onto Fairy, then just upkeep chanting them twice. I'm unsure if the combo works. Okay, so the camera is a creature. So you -2, you plus on the camera, you equip the bracers. Oh, no, it just copies itself. It just copies its own ability infinitely. Yeah, you're not, yeah. It doesn't seem like it actually gives you the extra copy. So I guess if you would need 2 Illusionist Bracers to go infinite, right? Is it the PT deck they're playing? I mean, it's really hard to tell. Okay, here's also the reality about every. It's maybe not that hard to tell. Every control player in the history of Modern and Magic, maybe Magic in general, has just taken their control build from a tournament where it did well, and then they just cannot ever help themselves but to change like 2 cards. It happens like every single time that they'll be like, all right, cool deck, I'm gonna change 2 cards. All right, let's play the Voice so that if they go counterspell my Chant and then Wrath X equals 0, we still have lethal in play. Okay, no longer. Couldn't have played the Phantom instead, although, you know, both get snared, of course. Still no, I think. Oh, right, because you're not continuing to activate it, though. All right, so it seems like they're going to maybe try to hardcast Solitude on my Construct and then Chump Block. And so if I Solitude their Solitude, they go up to 4 and then they die exactly. So I don't want to crack the Relic, otherwise I don't have lethal. Oh, they have their own Orim's Chant. Okay. Welcome to Modern, I guess. Can I double field? I go 1. Yeah, I can double field. Let's wait to do that until after they fetch. If they get an untapped land, it's a little bit weird because we could turn on a Consult. I guess we're not going to be able to field them off double white anyways. They do keep a card on top. We can't field them off double white, so I guess we just pass. It's funny you say welcome to Modern on Orim's Chant while that card was not played at all a few months ago. Well, that is kind of the joke to some extent, is that this is not a very common thing to happen in Modern. But people have been playing Scepter Chant for a while. It's not that out there. Okay, so I've already needled I've already needled to Fairy. I didn't bring in my Disenchants. I guess I could draw into Reprieve. Drawing into Reprieve like exactly this turn could do it. They have Force of Negation. See, the problem with Vexing Bauble is they do pay a mana when they kick the Scepter. I also drew the Vexing Bauble, which is, you know, if I was somehow wrong about that, no one gives me the option. We've already drawn our Needle. Thoughts on Scales versus Affinity. I mean, we did pretty well with our last Scales League, but I do think Affinity is generally better. But they're really... Okay, was there putting a key here in their hand? I guess if they just upkeep, I don't have a window to draw the Reprieve, and they know I don't have another Reprieve. This could be a Reprieve, they don't know that. We have Needle. No, the Needle's in play, naming Teferi Time Raveler. What can I do with Recorder? I could maybe with Recorder set up to copy a bunch of Field of Ruin effects and get them down on a lot of mana. I can also get I can get more cameras off this Saga to kind of set up for that maybe. Copy their cast. You can only copy your own triggered abilities. We also can just draw more Reprieves if like they ever tap out for something else. We drew another Demolition Field. That probably means I'm going to want a Demolition Field at the end of their turn. Yeah, their ability to win this game might also be really tough if we can just field their Hall of the Storm Giants and like Solitude. They also can't crack fetch lands unless they Solitude something of theirs or gain life off Solitude by attacking. Probably still going after their white mana here, right? Maybe I could hit the Steam Vents because like the single Steam Vents means maybe they have Wear Tear. I guess that that's gonna be my plan. And I don't care about making them shuffle, so I'm gonna activate the Field of Ruin instead of the Demolition Field, but admittedly a pretty minor interaction. And then we don't care too much about the Hall yet. We'll get it eventually, I think. With them not being able to activate their fetches, the colors matter a bit more. Why do we need them to tap off Reprieve to work? Oh, right, it doesn't go back to their hand. Okay. I don't know why I thought that the Orim's Chant would go back to their hand. That's good news. We can just draw Reprieve, and if we can resolve, we get it through. So we get to do the camera trick where we get to copy this ability to get the rest of our cameras out of the deck. And then we can potentially copy this Field of Ruin multiple times. Y'all haven't seen this. This is a pretty interesting interaction. It's not like the most epic thing ever, but it also does thin our deck to like make our ratio of deck to Reprieve ratio better. I want to get the last camera. Maybe I could get like a Relic of Progenitus instead, and I could copy the Relic ability to get like an extra look at a Reprieve. All right, then I have just one more. Yeah, do I want the fourth camera? I think I'll just take one of these. Do you think there's an argument for Cave of the Frost, Hall of the Storm? Feels like a lot of flying is worth. Feels like flying is worth a lot in the format. Cave of the Frost Dragon is like the worst of the lands by a lot. Like it's just like a lot less powerful than the other options. So I wouldn't play that one basically in any deck ever, but you could play a different one. This board's bad versus Wrath. Yeah. I probably want to copy the Field of Ruin this turn. The last camera. So I guess I'm going to let them... Oh, they can't tap the Hinge, right? Okay, so I guess we'll do it now. I might let them cast the Solitude, which maybe lets them gain the life. Yeah, if I field now, I let them cast the Solitude. But then I also don't want them to get a Planeswalker. Okay, I guess we'll just go for now. Okay, target here. Copy. Copy that. Can't fetch. They can fetch if I field them, then they cast Solitude, then they attack. And if I field them, okay, they have no more basics, so that's convenient. They only have 4 mana for this. Yeah, but if they had one more basic in their deck, they could have floated a mana, then hardcast the Solitude this turn, right? Maybe did I miscount that somehow? We didn't have the info that they didn't have the extra mana. Okay, so now let's go sack the Relic, copy the card draw, see what we draw off the first Relic. We draw the Reprieve. So let's go ahead and let this trigger resolve. We drew a second Reprieve. So now we even beat a Force of Negation. We had the info they didn't have another basic. They didn't fetch one on the last Demolition Field. Oh, sorry. I totally thought that they did. In that case, then it was, yeah, definitely right. Okay. Right, pretty simple game. I guess I'm going to play one Disenchant. Oh, dude. Alright, let's keep this on the draw against control. Def 2 Disenchant. I don't think so. They probably have 1 or 2 Scepters in their deck. It's and we also have the Needle too. Although you don't really want Needle Scepter that often. So it's kind of tough to tap out of the Reprieve here, since they have so many 3-mana Planeswalkers. Any consideration of Seal of Cleansing go with cameras? I went with Disenchant to go with the Scepters. I don't know. It's kind of a wash, right? Okay, they graveyard 2 Chants, so not the most likely that they lock me out this game, I guess. Maybe that just, although maybe that just, oh sorry, what is Emergency Eject? Seal of Cleansing, I know that one. Destroy null and permanence control to make a lander token. Pretty inefficient card overall. Is one you could play. Love to draw a land next turn. Especially a Field of Ruin, I guess. Pretty scared of Wrath. Didn't see a Wrath all last game. How to reprieve that, I think. It's possible that like making a Saga token maneuvered around that a bit better. Cool. So I could go make a Saga token, get a Relic of Progenitus, play a Plains, Chant on their upkeep, or I could Needle to Fairy and Chant on their upkeep. What if I go get Mox Opal, make a Saga token? I guess I can't copy because I don't have the extra artifact in play. Okay. Tap this, get Mox Opal, cast Pithing Needle off the floating mana. Then I could copy, but then I'm not chanting. Yeah, I think with 2 chants, I have to chant. So I just keep going back and forth. Wait, yeah, I can go float mana. Activate the Saga token with the Sunken Citadel. Use the plains and the use the plains to use the plains and the floating mana to activate the Saga. Copy it with the camera, then use the Mox Opal to chant on their upkeep. Okay, so activate. Copy that. So I've drawn a Relic of Progenitus. I'm kind of interested in going like main phase chant, then resolve Ketramose and draw a bunch of cards. It's fine. Bit weird, I know, but this just also like plays around Wrath pretty well. They chant me in response? Ah. Okay, I didn't play around that very well. That's my card. We get Vexing Bauble. I'm just gonna get a Relic in main phase cycle since I've got more copies. We'll get this. Trying to hit my land return. A weird one. Yeah, they only have 1 chant left in their deck, so we don't need to be too worried about the Scepter lock. We do need to be really worried about a Wrath Disguise. Well, they had boots. I mean, I can't attack, so boots doesn't do anything. Lockdown. Basically, Wrath Disguise. I do have Disenchants in my deck, just 1. So they plus the Teferi. Doing such a bad job drawing mana this turn. Fairy. Time Traveler. Doesn't mean I can't really chant very well either. I think we'll pack it in. It's a little early. I don't know where to go with it. I don't know. Like, it feels like there's places to go and I'm a little stuck. So I don't know when we'll be returning. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I guess we'll put back the second camera. Okay, we beat... Was this the league we beat Boros round 1? Right, I guess we play the camera turn 1 so that we can copy Solitude's ability turn 2. Reading Phenomena Recorder. The 2 manufacturing seem to solve the issue of not having Pinnacle Emissary opening hand. Yeah, I mean, I like weapons manufacturing. We played a good bit of it. I've been kind of liking in my affinity builds lately moving away from the Pinnacle Emissary stuff. Like we played a camera Doc Ox Tentacles build that got to play like a lot more counter magic because we weren't playing Emissary and all the, like the cheap stuff. And it felt like the deck had like more grindy potential, more interaction, and like was just, you know, because of that better against the hate cards. And the tentacles were really good. And like not playing an emissary was weird, but I really didn't miss it that much. Because it's like, Pinnacle Emissary is the kind of card that gives you a lot of really crazy nut draws that like, that pop, you can cast Capricorn in your turn one, but you just don't have those draws, I think, often enough to necessarily justify the lower quality draws, if that makes sense. Like, them playing Bombardment here sucks. What meta am I looking for returning to Nautilus? I'm trying to remember what it was like when I liked the deck when we were playing it. Like there was a time I liked it where it felt like Blink was popular. I liked the Blink matchup, and then like Titan was popular and Belcher was popular, which is kind of like now. But both those decks were like popular enough that we just main decked one Collector Oof and one Harbinger, and like the matchup like swung so much in for both of those. So I guess in response to the Johnny ETB, I'm holding control, but I didn't get priority first for some reason. Oh, it's not they're the active player is why. I'm holding control. Go to combat. I'm gonna accidentally copy Evoke one day. Hopefully not today. I am really interested in trying Camera in a more normal blue-white control list. Trying to copy Fetchland, Solitude, Teferi minus, and then maybe also Jason bigger Teferi. That's my dream, at least. I think I named Black here. I'm just gonna hold up the Reprieve this turn. Portable Hole would be good to get rid of the Bombardment and the Cat, maybe by copying the ETB with the Scepter. Ketramose plus land could be good, and maybe we draw that because we get the Reprieve cycle. Chant for the Scepter would be good. Very good against Boros game 1, especially. I'm down to 12. Got 3 cards, 5 mana, so the Reprieve maybe won't be all that good. Let's see if they have a land to still resolve the Seasoned Pyromancer this turn. They don't. So I guess we'll ramp a little bit. Consider running Camera and Cottonmouth Viper. Copying the Broadmouth Viper does sound pretty fun. It does seem pretty mana intensive. I am kind of interested in casting that card again soonish. Okay, so if I play the second Relic, when I go make a Saga token and copy it next turn, my Saga tokens will be 5/5s, which isn't really particularly better than them being 4/4s. I'm just trying to think, like, should I just cycle the Relic? Yeah, I think I'll just cycle. I guess maybe cycling main phase is worse than cycling on their turn, though. Any Brew Symbiote Spider-Man? Yeah, I've got one posted in the Mox Field. It's kind of tentatively the third backup deck for the day. I'm weirdly getting like really excited with it, and I'm like, no, this card is bad. I'm like, no, wait, this card is pretty good. So I do have a brew with it. I might want to tweak some stuff before we actually play it, so we'll see if we get to it today. But yeah, I keep going back and forth on that card. Like, this is, you get to discard for value, and you get to turn to your deck, and you get 2 triggers with FOMO, and you can haste it with Arena. If it dies, you get it back. Wait, they cast Flage instead of Spyro discard Flage with no graveyard. Am I dead somehow? Yeah, Camera still stays in play even if you're out of constructs. Okay, so they did this for the Ocelot Pride counters. Okay, so the Chant is pretty nice pickup. Oh wait, sorry. I'm gonna Scepter Chant. Do you expect Boros to finally drop out of the most played deck at Modern Spot after Pro Tour performance? That's definitely what I expected coming into this week. So far this week, and it's only Tuesday, we've played against Boros more often than usual, I feel. Um, I thought a lot of Boros players might switch to Quantum Energy. The thing about the Magic Online leagues is, to some extent, it seems like there's just like a lot of gamers grinding Boros, whether at work or working from home, because it's not one that requires a lot of attention, and it's pretty fast. At least that's kind of the vibe I get to some extent. Um, so I don't know. That is what I expected to happen, and that isn't really what I have felt has happened. Is I suppose the answer. Riddler's also $100. Yeah, there is that for sure. You could have created a token there if you tapped differently. I don't think so. I had 5 mana. I had 5 mana, and I needed exactly 5 mana to play Chant Scepter and kick it, right? Maybe I'm a little confused. All right, so bring in the Wrath of God, the Needle, and the Shadowspears for the Reprieves, and go to game 2. You had Citadel? Yeah, but I'm confused. Citadel is 6. I thought I had exactly 5, but it is still 2 mana to tap the Saga, right? The Citadel and the Saga. You have the land that doubles mana for abilities. Okay, did I have 7 mana total? Because that's what I would have needed. Yeah, I have to spend a white mana to kick the Chant. I don't know if you know that. We have a Wrath of God. And they're on a mulligan. I think because they're on a mulligan, we'll keep. I want to see Ragavan. Okay, thank you, not Ragavan. Let me take a picture. Got portable holes for that. It's not really so bad. Because they just Stony Silence turn 2. It just doesn't seem like they're that likely to kill me on their turn 4. So it seems okay to Field of Ruin on turn 3 and then you let the Saga catch me back up. It's crazy expensive for Riddlers that played outside of Modern Standard. I imagine Riddler's a good commander card, right? I guess I probably should have deployed the Shadowspear, though. Ooh, do I want to play Sunken Citadel this turn? Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to name white so that I can go Urza Saga Wrath next turn. It's seen some Fringe Legacy play. Yeah, I'm probably pretty good in Legacy in like the Force of Will Beanstalk format. So they're hitting me for 7 down to 9. Play 2 Ocelot Prides. I'll accept 1. Actually, you know what? Let's not play Urza Saga this turn, because if my opponent has a Thraben Charm or a Wear Tear and they kill Urza Saga in response to the mana trigger, we do just lose the game, and that seems not so good to just lose the game. So right now there's no cards in Exile. They got to keep the Kitty's Blessing too. Isn't Damn strictly better than Wrath? You want to bring it in against Oculus, and they have Snare. Damn is also very hard to cast, like the front side. Kind of close, maybe not that close. All right, so next turn we get to go make a Saga token and kick the Chant. Dweem with the 1 year. Happy anniversary. Welcome back. Yeah, Damn isn't white for Solitude. That's another good point. They have a 3rd Guide of Souls and a Dashed Ragavan for 5. 6, 7 damage. Well, I'm gonna go to 1. 1 is pretty dang close to 0. Where now Portable Hole isn't an out. Because if I Portable Hole the Stony Silence, I die to my Ketramose. I'm gonna need to draw like Solitude and Solitude on their turn. To even like have a chance. Seems kind of unlikely. I guess we could draw Wrath. Sorry, I know I can't make a Saga token and my brain still wants to. Now we don't need to worry about accidentally tapping the relic because we can't activate the relic here. So I guess we're just gonna make a Saga token instead. You have game 3. Yeah, like, you know, 1 is usually not that close. You know, it's usually further from 0, but here being at 1 is just, we just don't have the outs we would usually have. Not that we drew anything anyways. Let's go to game 3. Definitely happy to see Stony Silence instead. I guess maybe we're better at killing Conqueror, but we have the Portable Holes. All right, game 3 on the play. While the Boros gets energy to more or less not care about board wipes. I mean, they cared about it. They held a couple cards back to redeploy. But yeah, I mean, the power level of their 1-drops is high for sure. I have a weird hand. Let's give it a go. Sunken Citadel on black here. Beans isn't great in Legacy. You're good into fair matchups and get dunked on by unfair matchups. Okay, I mean, I believe that. I've not played a lot of Legacy Beans. I do think I'm going to Solitude the Ragavan. Mystic Forge post. Those matchups are borderline unwinnable. I'm surprised Mystic Forge is unwinnable if you just get to play like 4 Force of Vigors, but maybe not. All right, we got 2 lands and a backup deck. Do you see that Amulet with Rumble was the best deck at the PT without Rumble was sub 50? I didn't see. Where did you see the distinction between with Rumble versus out? Because I didn't see that in Frank's article. I would have thought that, like, I don't know if they were playing Rumble and Green Sun, but I would have thought that the ability to Green Sun for Oof would have been huge at that event. I did see that of all the the top played decks, Amulet had the best win rate. Wrath pitches to Solitude that he's not playing. Why? I'm playing Solitude. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Carson was asked and replied Rumble. Interesting. I wonder what percentage of players were playing Rumble versus not Rumble. Maybe pivoting to the backup deck, which I'm excited for. Is Zathis in the chat? We are playing Dreadhorde Arcanist as the backup deck. They're never here when I play Dreadhorde Arcanist. All right, let's go. It had close to 100 match sample size. Both Rumble and non-Rumble. I don't. That is interesting. I mean, they're nice. So like that must have been the Rumble bills was like 60%, right?